Welcome to the Writing Gals. Today, this is Michelle and me, and we're here to chat about quitting or how to get through all the hard stuff so you don't quit, right, Michelle?
Yes. Yes. I don't think anybody goes into this being an author thing with the thought, I don't want to do this for very long, right?
Right.
Most of us want to do it the rest of our lives if we possibly can. But there's
Exactly.
a lot of things you got to think about and prepare for, plan for if you want to make that happen because it's hard
Yes,
going out there.
it
So that's
is.
what we're going to talk about today.
Before we start, let's just catch up on what we're doing. What are you doing, Michelle?
I'm currently trying not to freeze because it is very cold for the South out there. And we've got snow, like 3 inches or so, and it's sticking around because it's like, I don't know, 6 degrees outside or something.
Oh my goodness.
And and the hot water in both of my bathrooms is frozen.
Oh
Um,
no.
because there's a whole story. There's not a reason. We had our pipes dripping, but anyways, I won't bore you. Anyways, so I am washing my hair in the kitchen sink right now.
Oh
Um,
no.
But it's fine because I have a nice warm office, and even though my kids are home, I can escape out here and still get things done. And I'm getting started on my vampire romance again for Kindle
Nice.
Vella. So I'm working on picking that story back up, doing a lot of prep work to be writing that. And I've had a lot of other sort of side secret projects going on too. So I'm just having fun. And what are you doing?
Very cool. Well, we're freezing here as well in Nebraska. We had, I think, -18 last night was our lowest. So it was nasty.
Ugh, gross.
Luckily, we have 2 fireplaces. Well, actually, we have 3 fireplaces. 2 of them are wood burning, and the other one's a gas one. And so we've had them going, and it hasn't been too bad. But yeah,
That's
it's
good.
kind of nasty outside.
Yeah.
But I am working on a super fun rom-com that just hit me and blindsided me and made me cheat on my angel story. And it's about twins, and that's always fun when you have twins involved. So just
Yes.
really fun stuff. So having a ball with that.
That's so
Hello,
fun.
everybody. There are people saying hello to us
Oh,
over
hello,
here.
everyone. Let's go over to yep. Nice to see you guys. So I was talking with my girls, and we were talking about tropes because they read and they have fun talking about it sometimes. And they gave me this idea for a fun twist on a trope. And so now I'm trying really hard not to just
Ah,
dive into it. So,
yes,
like, this whole cheating on your current story is such a danger to us all the time.
it is.
So, today, though, shall we jump right into our
Let's jump in.
topic? So, why do most authors quit? Now, it may not be that they quit immediately. It may be they quit after 5 years or after 10 years or after, you know, even after success, like a big success. I see it happen a lot. Recently, I was really sad to see an author we both know talk about how she's stepping back from it. And it just happens a lot and for a lot of different reasons. But generally, I think it can boil down to a few sort of categories for
Mhm.
reasons. And so we're going to get into some of those today.
Yes.
Shall we start with
Yes.
the dream versus the drudgery?
And it can be drudgery. It really can. I mean, let's be honest here.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes everybody thinks that, writers just sit with our bonbons and we have on our frou-frou stuff and we just type away. And it's
Yeah.
not like that all the time.
No, I like the way that we're depicted in movies and things like that. Like we live in this mansion and we have an
Uh-huh.
agent and we, can be really kooky with eating chocolates, like you said, in our pajamas and then step out and have this whole fan group wanting to meet
Right.
us at our book signings. It just sounds like an amazing thing. And it takes so long to get any kind of forward momentum with getting a book finished or with getting your first book sales, starting to build your fan base, your newsletter. It's so hard just to get it going. But like the drudgery that I'm talking about has so much to do with just getting through like scenes that are hard to write, losing
Yes.
interest in a story, all the technical stuff with editing, the process. Like there's just a lot of work. It's hard, 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 hard work. And
Mhm.
so sometimes it just feels like, wait, I'm going to do this again. Even if you're excited to start a story, I'll do this. I'll sit down and I'll be so excited with the project and I'll get the first like 10,000 words done. And then I'm
Yes.
like, uh,
Now why
and
did I do this?
yes, that's when the drudgery begins for me, is trying to force myself through the
Yes.
middle of the story until I can finally get to like the good stuff at the end too.
I am the exact same way as you. The beginnings are easy for me,
Yeah.
and sometimes I'll start 3 or 4 times, and be like, this isn't the right way to start. But the beginnings are exciting and fun and new for me. And I just have a blast with that first 10 to 15,000 words. And
Yeah.
then it hits. And then I'm like, oh, now I got to do the middle part.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the
And
hard
even if
part for
you
me.
step back a little bit just with shaping your career, I think that you could write books, lots of books even for years and years and years without getting any traction with them, right? Or really
Mhm.
making any money that makes it feel worth it, or finding enough
Yes.
readers to make it feel worth it. And so a lot of times you just feel like I'm just putting in all this effort to put out into the void and not get anything back from it. And so that definitely becomes this monstrous drudgery
Yes.
that causes all of us to stop and think like, is this even worth it? Right?
Absolutely.
This isn't the dream I envisioned. So that's one thing we got to watch out. So we're going to kind of talk at the end about how to kind of get through all of
Yes.
these different obstacles. So right now, let's go to the next one, the battle between business and art.
And that is a battle, right? Because you want to just sit and write and do your art but then you have to think of the business side. Unless you don't want to publish, which is
Yeah.
fine. Some
Yes,
people
it
just
is.
like to write and not
Mhm.
publish, and that is absolutely fine. But a lot of us are in this business as well, and you have to put on that business hat after you get done with your art and say, "All right, now how do I market this thing?"
Yeah. And a lot of times, the battle for me comes into the decision to continue writing a series because it would make me
Mhm.
more money to write in a series, or to write books that I know would do well with the market but aren't really what's pulling, you know, at my heart, the things that I want to write. And it's that constant decision between, do I do this for the art of it and really enjoy the process and do what is calling to me? Or do I do the things that I know I will be able to make money on?
Mhm.
Um, and sometimes the stars align and you're able to do both at the same time. But I find that isn't always predictable either, is it? And
Right.
so we all kind of keep hoping one of these days our love project is going to be the one that like really
Takes
blasts off,
off.
and yeah, it
Yes.
does well. But for me, it's also a time thing, right?
Yes.
I only have so much time that I can devote towards my career away from my family and other obligations that I have, even as somebody who doesn't have a full-time job. So for those of you who have a full-time job, you've got very, very little time that you can devote towards this other, project you have going on. And depending on where your family is and what their needs are at the time, it can be really hard to say, okay, I've got 2 hours today. Do I spend it on marketing or do I spend it on writing? Do I spend it
Mhm.
revamping my website or getting my word count in? Do I go in and, just this constant decision between, where to invest your time when you have so little of it?
Mhm. Absolutely.
So that can be something that can even change throughout your career, right?
Yes.
So how much time would you say when you first started writing did you spend on business versus writing compared to where you are now?
Oh, when I first started writing, it was all writing.
Mhm.
And yeah, and now it's a lot of business.
Yeah. And that
So,
happens,
yeah.
right? You build up a backlist, and so you know that if you could get that backlist list selling, then, that would be great, right? That's what we all want. And so
Mhm,
sometimes, it's easy to say, "Okay, I need to spend the time marketing right now
mhm.
instead of writing this next story or building a foundation of a solid business or direct sales or, different things before I put any more books out there." Um, so that's just the hard choice that it constantly evolves as your career evolves too. So that's always a challenge. And it's kind of like a new challenge that you kind of have to find the new right answer for all the time.
Right.
Um, and then another obstacle that can get in the way of us having a long-term career is um, our definitions of success. So, how do you think this plays into people being able to keep going with this?
Well, I see this as maybe expectations. If you have high expectations going in and you don't come anywhere near your high expectations, that can just devastate you. And so
Yeah.
when I published my first book, I was on purpose. I said, I'm going to have really low expectations. If I just don't think it's going to sell at all, then if I make a sale, I'm like, yay, I made a sale. But if I expect it to be like 100 sales a day, and if I only make one, then I'll be so depressed with that one sale. So I'd much rather celebrate that one sale
Yeah.
than be depressed, right?
Yeah.
So that was my kind of way to not undermine myself, is to just
Mhm.
have low expectations and then try really hard to meet, my goals, and be just celebrate every little thing.
Yeah. And I think that that's important with success is understanding that maybe there's not a success that you
Hmm.
reach and check it off and like, I did it. I reached the success. There's a lot of different levels of success along the way that can keep us going and keep us excited. I think too often we look to other people to define what our success should be. And
Yes.
and I've also learned in my time the last few years of being, one of the admins of the Writing Gals and interacting with a lot of different people in the community, that people are affected in different ways by other people's success. Some people are really inspired and really motivated to see what new awesome things someone has achieved. Um, and some people get kind of defeated by it
Mhm.
because they think there's no way I can do that, or I'm
Yep.
working just as hard as they are. Why am I not getting this success? And so sometimes you just have to take time getting to know yourself. And sometimes you have to take a hard look at yourself and say, oh, okay, how can I be better with this?
Mhm.
Um, there is, funny enough, there can be a downside to being inspired by other people's success too, because sometimes it can get you really excited to do that thing, and it can lead you down this other path that's not necessarily the path that you originally intended or that
Mhm.
works best for you and your books and what you're doing. And so I've also seen a lot of authors that start chasing off after these other things that they're excited and inspired by, and they end up getting burned out or getting lost along the way and getting
Or you can spread
frustrated.
yourself too thin, right?
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah,
they're
you
having
certainly
success over here on TikTok, so I'll go do that. Oh, they're having
too many
success over
things.
here on Instagram." Yeah,
Yeah,
and you can do too much.
yeah. So we constantly have to be sort of taking in all of this stuff, right? Seeing other people's success and what they're doing and being happy for them so that we can have this sort of, good optimistic view of the community and our business, and then at the same time saying, okay, how can I best use this, and take a moment to take priority, re-evaluate what you want, what you're working towards. But I think sometimes also we define success as being this thing. When I make 10,000 in sales in a month, or when I make 100,000 or 1,000,000. We
Mhm.
make all these milestone goals. And when we get there, oh, that's when I'll be successful, right? And so we
Right.
fail to really celebrate the successes along the way. And I think the only way to make this a long-term career is that we aren't just aiming for one thing, right? That
Mhm.
we just constantly acknowledge successes along the way, and also successes that aren't necessarily just monetary or sales.
Right.
So what are some other successes authors can find besides just, the money ones?
I think getting through a really, scene that just really inspires you is a success, if you can get that down on paper and you're really proud of it, that's a success. Or
Mhm.
finishing your novel or, you know, any one of those little, things that you can control
Yeah.
is, you can define that as success.
Yeah, and also remember the impact you're having on your readers' lives. I love
Mhm.
getting feedback from my readers on how reading helps them to get through hard times, and that's a success for me. I saw this interesting, video where we talk a lot about climbing the mountain as our career is climbing the mountain, and this person, hypothesized that there's a second mountain, and that second mountain is about other people.
I
And
love that.
how we can also achieve success in helping other people up their mountain or that
I
mountain.
love that.
And so, it kinda gives you this duality to your goal, and a fulfilling aspect to it, I think.
Yes.
I'm probably gonna look more into, this person's thoughts and kind of maybe do a video on it at some point. I think it's really interesting. Um, but one thing I've seen authors that ended their career because of success. Like,
Mhm,
they
I
got
have too.
this really big success and not realizing that that actually brings a lot of stress and anxiety and pressure
Mhm.
and, this need to maintain that success or even continually top it.
Yes.
And it can just become too much, and then they just
Yes.
step away from it, you know? And so
Absolutely.
I think all of us need to be aware that that is something that can happen because a lot of times really big success just happens suddenly,
Yes.
strangely enough.
And a lot of it out of your control, really.
Mhm.
I mean, you can at in the moment, you can be like, "Oh, I know how I got here. I did A, B, C, and D." But next year, when you do A, B, C, and D, it doesn't give you the same results. And
Yeah,
you're like, "Oh, why is this not working?"
yeah,
And I think a lot of it is out of our control, and it's difficult to admit that, especially if
yeah,
you've had that success and you're like, "But
mhm.
I worked really hard for that success." Well, there are
Yes,
tons of people who work really hard and don't get that kind of success, and
yeah.
it's
So
not
it's not
necessarily
all that you didn't deserve the success or you didn't earn that
right.
success, but sometimes there's just this element behind it that is hard to quantify or
Mhm,
repeat. And so a lot of times authors burn themselves out or break themselves, um, trying to maintain, repeat, keep up with the pressure, especially their fans who want more and more and more and more of this really
mhm.
good thing that you're producing. And that can just drain your creative energy really, really fast.
Yes.
Um, and then I also want to bring this up. It's not for everybody, and that's okay. So, not all of us are going to be career authors for various reasons. And maybe we get into it and we thought we would love it and we decided that was fun and now I'm ready for something else. Or
Yep.
I'm perfectly happy with this just being a hobby
Mhm.
and not my career or the main pursuit of my life. Um, and some people just find that the cost is too hard to bear,
Mhm.
for what it is. And sometimes that can be just for a season. Sometimes you just decide for right now where I am in my life, I just can't do this. Do you have any thoughts about this one?
Well, I know several authors who just had one book in them, and that
Mhm.
was what they wanted to do. They had this passion, they wanted to write this one thing, and they
Yeah.
did, and they either published it themselves or got it published, and that was it for them.
Mhm.
And now they've moved on to other things, and that is perfectly
Yep,
fine. If
it
this
is.
isn't your absolute career that you want to do, that is fine. If you just have one book in you, then great, do your thing.
Yes, absolutely. And I've even I'm definitely dedicated towards this for my whole life. I'm in it for keeps. But at the same time, there are a lot of other interests that I have, and sometimes I've played around with like, okay, so maybe I dial this back a little bit this year because I need to focus on this for a little while, you know? And I don't have to be going full tilt, building a career, go, 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 go all the time. Um, and everybody has the freedom to decide that for themselves. And it doesn't make you any less of an author or any less of an artist or a business person to reevaluate things and to make decisions that are good for you and your family. Um, if any of you do get to the point where you feel like you are going to step back from writing or quit altogether, and you have good reasons to do so, then just be sure you feel good about it and that you feel positive. I think any good decision should leave you feeling at peace
Mhm.
and excited about the future, right? And
Absolutely.
and if you feel excited and at peace with walking away from writing, then that's a good thing. But if there's part of you that is, like, resentful or regretful or still wishing you could do it, then just know that there's a way forward for you to keep going with it too. So that's why we're going to talk about how to quit-proof your career. So,
Yes.
what are your thoughts on this, Victorine?
So I don't know that there's one way to quit proof everything. Like we're all different
Mhm.
and we all have different motivations. And like I said, some people have just one book in them and that's, you know, or they get into this and they're like, this isn't for me, which is absolutely fine. But there are some things you can do to, if you want this to be your career and that is your goal and you really want to work hard at this, that you can help yourself not hit some of those roadblocks that make people want to quit. And I definitely think keeping yourself grounded as this ride kind of happens to you, because sometimes things take off and it can be kind of quite a ride for you. Keeping yourself grounded and letting yourself know that there is a lot out of my control, and that's okay. That's okay that
Mhm.
not everything, I am not in control of absolutely everything on this ride, and that's fine,
Yeah.
and just keeping that in mind can be a big help to, at least to me.
Yeah. Some of the things I thought about is to constantly take periods of reflection, right? To take those times to step back and ask yourself the big questions. Why am I doing this? What is it that makes me happy and fulfilled? How is my health? How am I getting close to burnout or am I still enjoying lots of creative energy? Am I getting carpal tunnel? How is my back doing?
Mhm.
Like am I having health issues or mental health issues? Like reevaluate where you're at and what's going on with you and make wise choices in that moment before things get bad because I've been through burnout and it's not fun. But I learned a lot from it about how I need to stay in tune with my body and my
Mhm.
emotional, mental, creative health, all those things. Because if you're suffering in those areas, you're not going to be able to do this long term, right?
Mhm.
We're like athletes and we have to take care of ourselves so that we can continue to perform at our highest levels. And I also think making long term career goals um, is important. And the long term career goals aren't necessarily financial goal. It's more like how do I want my writing life to look when I'm 60? Or when do I want to retire? What does that look like? For me, I'm planning to spend my retirement years with my husband traveling and
Mhm.
me writing as we go because
Exactly, that's me too.
I'm like, I can't think of a better way to spend the last years of my career, hopefully my life, than
Yes.
still writing, still being fully immersed in stories while I go around and do these fun things. And I think I just constantly have to remind myself, for me, it is about the story, because when I began this dream, wrapping back to the dream versus the drudgery, like, I didn't know how hard a lot of things were going to be, but I was passionate about telling stories, and I was passionate about sharing my soul with the world. And I'm still passionate about that. That's what keeps me excited. And so I think if you always keep in the forefront what the dream actually is, and that dream is telling stories and sharing it with the world, then you won't get lost along the
Yes.
way, and you won't get to where you're not able to pick yourself up after failures and setbacks. And I think that's the thing, is plan for hard times, plan for things to go wrong, for you to make mistakes, for you to have struggles, and then keep going. So that's the only way, right? To be flexible
Mhm.
and resilient across your career.
Absolutely. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. And for me, it's all about filling up that creative well so that when I write, I have something to give. And
Yeah.
so a lot of it is intake of story for me.
Yeah.
I have to remember that I'm not just the robot that outputs. I need that creative well filled for myself as well.
Which is an interesting thing to say in the light of people being worried that AI is going to take over our jobs, right? Um, it's a lot of unknown. I heard this quote where it says humans are really bad at predicting the future.
That is so
Like,
true.
it's so true. Like, none of us can really predict. Like, we can think, we can guess, we can be doomsday, we can be enthusiastic and excited. Like, it's all just about attitude, but it's all about knowing that however things are going right now in the business of writing is not what it's going to be doing in a year or 5 years or 10 years from
True.
now. Like, there's going to be changes no matter what, um, and we have to be ready to rise to the challenge to keep up with it,
Hmm.
to rise above it, to keep going, and keep building the opportunities for ourselves to
Yep.
write and share our stories, because those stories are never going to go away, and there's never going to be a lack of audience for them. I
Absolutely.
solidly believe that. There will
Absolutely.
always be an audience who want good stories that we have to tell, that come from our
Hmm.
heart and souls. So I hope this was helpful to somebody out there. Um, we've got a lot of fun topics that we're going to be talking about in the future. We've got a lot of fun things coming up. We've got our writing academy with new classes dropping throughout this month and next month and into perpetuity. We've got our Writing Gals cruise that we're hoping to get some more details announced on soon.
And Violet brought that up in the
Yes, she
comments.
did. Yes. Um,
We are excited about the cruise too, and we will be announcing soon how to sign up for that. So
yes. And
keep
if
tuned.
anybody watching wants to teach at the Writing Gals conference this year, class proposals are
Yes,
currently open,
they
and you
are.
can find that in our Facebook group and fill out your proposal form if you are interested in that. So, anyways, it's just so fun to be part of this great community and have so many excited things going on. If you want to meet us for our every other week chats here on YouTube, be sure that you subscribe to our channel and
Yep.
click the notification button so that you will be alerted when we're coming on. And we can't wait to come back and chat with you guys again. So
All
thanks for
right.
everyone who joined us.
All right. We'll see you later.
Bye. Stay